Hey, what's going on, guys? And about 6 months ago, Motorola released the Moto Z Droid, and the critics all gave their opinions on the device. And now, courtesy of Verizon, I've had the chance to extensively use the Moto Z Droid for the last about 2.5 months or so, which has given me plenty of time to formulate my full opinions on the device. So in today's video, I'm sharing with you guys my experience living with the Moto Z Droid. So from the first moment you either see or pick up the device, you can really tell that Motorola spent quite a lot of time into the design of the Moto Z. While it is a subjective topic, I personally really like the design of the Moto Z. It's made of all metal and glass, and it just looks like a durable device. In terms of the materials alone, this would be worth picking up. Now, it does come available in two different colors, black and white, and if you find yourself torn between the two, I would personally go for the black. I just think it looks a bit better, but that's obviously just my opinion. However, if you don't feel like being restricted between the two, there is always the option of going with Motorola's infamous Moto Maker service to really customize the phone to your liking. Other than that, the Moto Z is really structurally sound, and there are very few design elements to complain of. But very few doesn't mean there aren't any, and there are two pretty big flaws, at least for me personally. The first of those two flaws is the pretty noticeable camera hump. I know this won't bother a lot of you guys, but it just really kept on bothering me and kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. To alleviate this, I usually placed Motorola's wooden backshell on, and that got rid of the problem, but it would have been nice if Motorola had filled the space on the hump with a bigger battery instead of going with the mindset thinner is always better. The second complaint I have is the placement of the fingerprint scanner. Now, before I explain more, don't take that as a knock against the scanner itself. It's really fast and reliable, and if I were to put a percentage on it, I would say it would work for the first time about 98% of the time. However, being a fingerprint scanner isn't its only purpose. Once the phone is on, you can tap it to sleep the device. Just keep in mind that as frustrating as it isn't a home button. Anyway, back to the problem I have with the placement. I'm not sure if it's just me, but the scanner makes the face of the phone look really ugly. By putting the scanner there, Motorola not only had to increase the size of the chin, but also the size of the forehead to make it symmetrical, and those large forehead and chin take away from the device's design. I'm not sure what the difference is, but while the iPhone manages to pull off the large forehead and chin design, the Moto Z just doesn't. Motorola does sort of make up for the large forehead by placing a front-facing speaker there, which sounds pretty good. Once again though, these complaints are only my opinion. You may view it differently. Those negatives out of the way, let's talk about something I really like about the Moto Z, the display. Coming in at 5.5 inches with a Quad HD resolution of 2560 by 1440, you obviously won't be able to differentiate any pixels here. Viewing angles are great, colors are pretty accurate, and you don't lose that accuracy at extreme angles. The slight negative is the brightness, and it's not even that bad. Just when compared to the screens found on Samsung panels, it just doesn't quite match up brightness wise. But overall, the display in combination with that front-facing speaker I mentioned earlier make the viewing experience of the Moto Z really nice. On the bottom of the phone, you find the USB Type-C port, which is great to see, but it isn't so great to see the exclusion of a headphone jack. Try as you may to replace it with an adapter, it's just not the same experience. While using the adapter, the phone can't be charged, and while charging the phone, you'll be stuck using Bluetooth only accessories. Not the biggest of negatives, but still an annoyance definitely worth mentioning here. The software the Moto Z is running on is a bare bones near stock version of Android 7.1. The only adjustments made by Motorola are very minor additions that don't take away from the experience at all. They include some useful features such as screen off gestures, the double chop to activate the flashlight, and just other minor but useful add-ons like those. The phone itself runs Android extremely well, powered by the Snapdragon 820, Adreno 530, as well as 4 gigs of RAM. It handles anything you throw at it really well, be it an intensive game or just having a lot of apps open at once. It just really flies through Android. Keeping in mind that I'm yet to try a Nexus or Pixel device, this is by far the most fluid experience I've had with an Android device. Its fluidity is good enough to the point where I don't notice a difference when I switch between this and my iPhone or iPad. Throw on the Pixel launcher and you'll no doubt feel like you have the Pixel itself. The software and performance of the Moto Z gets a big thumbs up in my books. Keeping in mind the pretty power hungry specs, the Moto Z's battery life is really mediocre for me. It has a 2600 mAh battery that barely lasted me through the entire day. It may just be my unit, but I found that the standby battery life was awful, and because for most of the day my phone is sleeping while I'm at school, I was pretty disappointed. Now, my usage was for the most part pretty moderate, so if you're a light user, the Moto Z will definitely last you the entire day. Motorola does sort of make up for it with the fast charger, and when they advertise fast, they really mean it. Let me know if you guys want to see a dedicated video on the charging speeds of the Moto Z, but to keep it short and sweet, the phone charges extremely quickly. To be completely honest, I was pretty surprised by the charging speeds. I would wake up and remember I had forgotten to plug the device in overnight, but instead of panicking as I may with other phones, I knew all I needed was 20 or so minutes for the phone to be fully charged. Overall, the battery is a mixed bag, but if you're usually next to an outlet, then you don't have to worry about it nearly as much. And before I wrap up this review, there is one last thing to cover: the camera. Now, Motorola doesn't exactly have the best track record when it comes to smartphone cameras, so heading into my time with the Moto Z, my expectations were set pretty low, and let's just say the Moto Z's camera really did nothing to change my mind. So it comes in with a 13 megapixel camera alongside 4K video recording. The images came out pretty decent, but take a look at a couple of these images and judge for yourselves. Now, as far as the camera app itself goes, it's really intuitive and easy to use, and while it doesn't exactly look like the iOS camera app, it definitely reminds me of it when it comes to its simplicity. Oh, and if you like taking selfies, you'll definitely be a big fan of the 5 megapixel front facing camera that also comes with a flash. So overall, I didn't really use the Moto Z's camera much, only when I had to snap a quick pic and the quality wasn't of great importance. So there you have it, guys. That's been my personal experience living with the Moto Z Force Droid. If I had the chance, I wouldn't hesitate to make it my daily driver, regardless of the few flaws the device has. Anyway, that's about it, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. I have to catch you guys in my next one. See ya.